don't know about you, but I didn't know what busy was until I became a mom. And then when I became a mom of multiples, whoo, busyness went to a whole nother level. Yet over the years, I realized that just because as moms we're busy doesn't mean we can't thrive. But before I get into all that, let me welcome you back to my channel. My name is Ayanna, and this is Beyond Committed, where we talk about everything from life, faith, family, marriage, motherhood, and everything in between, and we take them beyond. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I'm so glad you stopped by. And make sure you're not a stranger. Make sure you press the subscribe button below and turn your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now let's dive right in. Going from surviving to thriving in motherhood is what it's all about. I mean, from the moment you bring your baby home until they go off into the world and make their own mark on the world, there is so much as moms for us to do. I can remember when I had my oldest, I thought, okay, this is crazy, this is overwhelming, but all right, I can do this. And I sort of found a rhythm after a while, managing motherhood and marriage and working and all that. And then I got pregnant with the twins, and I'm like, okay, how are we going to do all this now? How is this going to work out exactly? And then, through some adjustments, especially like after those first 4 months, which was a doozy. I mean, having more than one baby at one time is overwhelming physically, but then having just managed the feedings, the changing, and then having my toddler run around at the same time, it was like, okay, this is a lot. And then over time, I'm like, okay, I kind of got into a rhythm of that as well. But I realized that as I got into rhythm, sometimes I was just kind of surviving. I wasn't really thriving as a mom or even as a wife. And that's not okay, because as moms, we have to make sure that, okay, yes, we are showing up and doing all the things we need to do for our kids as well. But we have to also make sure that we are not just surviving, but thriving as moms, as women, as wives. And there are 5 things that I discovered that will help all of us moms, not just to survive, but thrive the busyness of motherhood. One way to help us thrive as busy moms is to make sure we are always reevaluating our whys. And by this, I mean, there's always should be a reason why we do something. Whether it is at home for our kids or in our community, in our church, in our businesses, whatever it is. There needs to be a why behind it, because there's always something to do. And while we are in the midst of getting things done, and while we are in the midst of the busyness of life and of motherhood, we have to make sure that there are whys behind the things we're doing. We're not just adding one thing to the list because we think we should, or because somebody else would like us to, or somebody else did that, so we should do that as well. We have to take a pause and look at not just our schedules, but our routines and kind of the things that we do in the day-to-day to make sure that, okay, is there a why behind the reason you do that? Because then you got to be able to stand on that, realizing that, okay, yes, I have these 50 things to do, but there are 50 reasons why these things need to be done. So I'm going to keep pushing, I'm going to keep doing what I need to do. Or you can look at the 50 things and be like, well, maybe 25 of them have a reason behind it that I can stand by. The other 25, let's reevaluate that. And then also realize that over time, your why may change. There may be some reasons that you did something one way then, and now you're in a new season. Your kids have grown. Your marriage is in a different place. You have grown as a woman that, you know what? I don't need to do that way, or I may not need to do that at all in this season, because the reason I was doing it before is no longer either necessary or a good reason for me right now. I know for me, especially when I became a stay-at-home mom, and I realized that, okay, there was a lot of things that I started doing just because I saw other people doing them. And I really didn't know the reason behind it. I was just doing it. They said, do this, I did it. And then over time, I realized that, okay, some of these things were working for my family and some of these things were just making me exhausted. So I had to let that go and reevaluate my why. Why am I doing this? Why am I not doing something else? Realizing that when we say yes to one thing, that means we're saying no to something else in that moment, because we can only be one person. We only can be at one place at one time. So it's so important that as busy moms, we are always reevaluating our whys to make sure we're not just surviving, that we're thriving in whatever season that we're in. And the second way to help you thrive as a busy mom is to take an honest look at your schedule and your to-dos. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the reevaluating your whys, because it's easy to just kind of get stuck in a routine and a pattern and a schedule of just doing these certain things. And kind of, that's where you are. Those are the things that you do. And you've been doing them for a while. So why change things? Well, the reason you should change things may be because there may be new ways for you to do something, or there may be something different that you can do that can serve both you and your family better. There are so many different tips and tools and different things that you can kind of use to kind of help you order your schedule and your to-dos in a way that may be more efficient for you, or may be helpful for you at one time. But now that you're in a different season, your kids are getting a little older, you have different activities, it may not be beneficial for you to do those things the same way. It may not be beneficial for you to have all those to-dos on your to-do list. And by taking an honest look at your to-do list and your schedule, you are making sure that you are having everything that needs to be in there, not just all the things that, help you as a mom. Because if you are not a healthy woman and a healthy wife, it's hard to be the best mom. It's hard to be a healthy mom. And that is something that is so important. Making sure that you are not just getting it on the to-do list, but actually checking off on your to-do list, making sure you're practicing self-care, making sure that you are being intentional about pouring into your marriage, because that is so important for you as a mom. That is so important for foundation within your house. And I know for my husband and I, especially when my kids were younger, it was easy for us to put our marriage on the back burner. It was easy for me to put our marriage on the back burner. And then over time, I'm realizing that wasn't healthy for us. And it wasn't healthy for my girls. And now as they've gotten older, they see the value in how much we are intentional about loving each other, spending time together, going on date nights, going on vacations, just us as a couple. And then that makes the time we spend as a family even more special. That also gives them time with their grandparents and, aunts and uncles and all of that when we're not around, so they can have that as well, because they need that kind of village as well. Just like our marriage needs a village, our kids need a village. So it's so important that as moms, we're taking honest look at our schedules and our to-dos to make sure we are building in all the things that make us healthy women and wives, so that we can be thriving, healthy moms. A third way for us to thrive as busy moms is to embrace the word no. Yeah, no. I can't do that. Not today. Not now. Not tomorrow. Maybe never. I mean, no is an easy thing to tell our kids a lot of the times. No, you can't have that. No, we're not doing that. No, no, no. However, there are times and in situations where we will yes ourselves into a tizzy. We will yes our schedules to overwhelm. We will yes our to-dos to being at a place to where we are never ever checking them off. We will yes our way to not doing the things that are truly important to us, not truly having a why behind the yes. It's just because somebody asked or somebody needs. It's our job to say yes. No. That is something that we have to do and be intentional about. And I know for me, that is something that I've had to learn. And my husband actually taught it to me, because there were times when I would just instinctively just say yes to something. And then he'd be looking at me like, why you do that? No, we can't do that. And then I have to backtrack, and realizing that once we talked about it, no, I didn't have the time, or I wanted to spend my time doing something else, and that's okay. Maybe I want to just be free on Tuesday mornings instead of having something scheduled every Tuesday morning. Is that bad? No. Maybe you're in a season where you need more time for you just to be still. You need more time to rest. You need some time to exercise. You need some time to spend with your husband, but because your schedule is so full and you've said yes to so many things, you don't have the time that you need. So I would encourage you as a busy mom, realizing that yes, we want to be and show up as best as we can in as many places as we can for ourselves and for our kids. We have to realize that saying no doesn't just help us to thrive, it also helps our kids, especially as they get busier and older and they have all these activities. It can be easy for you to spend all your time shuttling your kids around to 50 different places all day, and they don't even have time to be still. They don't have time to just relax. They don't have time to just play and be kids, because they always got somewhere to be, some practice to be at, some performance to do, and all that. While all those things are important, having them have extracurricular activities and sports and, whatever they're into, which is great, It's also important that they have downtime, that they have time that's not tied to having to be and show up for everybody all the time, that they have time and they learn early that prioritizing self-care is important, having downtime is important, getting rest is important, not just for their mom, but for them as well. So I encourage you, as busy moms, making sure that we are not just surviving and thriving. It's important that we say no so that we can give our best yes to the things that we should. And a fourth way to help us busy moms thrive is something that I actually talked about in some of the other points, was making sure you are prioritizing self-care. Because you can't pour out of an empty cup. It's hard to be a healthy mom and wife if you're not a healthy you. And the sayings can go on and on. But at the end of the day, you got to take care of you, boo. You have to make sure that you are doing what you need to make sure you are being filled and well taken care of. Because you can't expect somebody else to do that for you. I know your husband may see the things you need, but a lot of times our husbands don't see how overwhelmed and run down and just in basic survival mode we are until we've been there for a long time. And then we're like at our kind of breaking point. We don't want to get there. We have to make sure that we are being intentional about pouring into ourselves daily and realize that how that looks for you may be different. And it doesn't have to be grand gestures all the time. It can be just small intentional things that you are doing to make sure you are taking care of yourself well. So for instance, I have become a morning person. So me getting up in the morning, having my quiet time, exercising, just taking some time for me gives me life in this season of my life. However, when my kids were younger, no, I was not getting up super early. I didn't get that much sleep at night. So the thought of me getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4:30 before everybody woke up to just spend time, no, I needed to spend time resting and sleeping. So at that time, I put my quiet time in the day. Like when the kids were sleeping or when I had some other time or my husband could kind of watch the kids, I took some time for myself then. Because at that time, that was just the season that we're in and that was a schedule that worked. So it's okay that you make it work for you in whatever ways that you need to. And then make sure you're intentional about building the other things into your routine that care for you well, that allows you to love yourself well. So for instance, for me, I like getting my nails done. It's something that is just for me. My husband does not care what my nails look like. He never really notices unless I say anything, but it's something that I do for me. So I put it on the calendar. And that means also that once it's on the calendar, that means that that day I have to say no to something else and give myself permission to say no to something else. However, does that mean that there are not times to when I have scheduled that nail appointment or that hair appointment and then life has happened and my kids need something or my husband needs something and I have to rearrange? Absolutely. There are many times when that happens, but that means that I take that lasso from an iPad that I love to use so much and I move it to another day to make sure that, okay, I'm still intentional about prioritizing my self-care, but I also am graceful enough to myself to realize that life happens. We can only do what we can do with the information that we know, and we do better and we do more with when we have more information and more time. So I would encourage you to make sure that as a busy mom and you are looking to not just survive but to thrive, to make sure you're pouring into yourself so that you can pour out well. And the fifth way for us as busy moms to truly thrive is to stop comparing. Yes. Stop allowing comparison to steal your joy. Stop allowing comparison to add more to your already full plate. Now you know exactly what I'm talking about. You'll see another mom or some kids or some other wife doing some things like, oh, I need to do that. Let's try that. Let's my kids join that club or group or sports activities, whatever. And then you're piling stuff onto your already full plate. And you are not thriving because you're just trying to get it all in and kind of trying to see, okay, what are they doing and how can I do that now? While getting inspiration and, getting help and getting tips and tools and all of that is great from other moms because we definitely need a village to do this mom life. However, should be exactly what it is. Getting inspiration, getting tips and tools that you can or cannot use. They're not a requirement. It is things that you can use to see, okay, does this work for my family? Does this work for my child? Does this work for my life in this season? And be okay to be like, you know what? Yes, I'll try that. Or no, I won't. I'll just, I know it. Maybe I'll try it one time, maybe I won't. It doesn't matter, because you are living the life that God has given you. You're not trying to live the life God is giving somebody else. So I would encourage you as a busy mom to make sure that when you start to feel like, okay, you might be in survival mode, make sure that you're not only reevaluating your whys and making sure that you're, looking through your to-dos and making sure you're saying no and making sure you're prioritizing self-care. You also have to make sure you're not comparing your life or your kids to somebody else, because that will definitely take you out of thriving mode. All right, that's it for today. And I want to know, what's one thing that helps you thrive as a busy mom? Let me know in the comment box below. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and then make sure you press the subscribe button and turn your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now until I see you again, bye.